Hello and welcome back to another law and theory and speculation video. My name is Skyters Law and thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'll be presenting some ideas on why Ashvale will accidentally be Planar Arcadia's biggest threat, what the IPC plans for the Voracity and why they're in Planar Arcadia, and why the Phantasm Games prize has changed. Spoilers for 4.0 to 4.2, as I will be covering some of what happens and some of the revelations that have been brought about it. Firstly, for why Ashvale will be Planar Arcadia's biggest threat. I believe that he will be the biggest threat because he will inadvertently help bring the Voracity back to power, as I believe there is a chance he is currently suffering a similar fate to those who have been infected by the Paramount Bliss inverted Illwish Arc Lotus, and who became a Joy Ascendant. But instead, for Ashvale, the thing corrupting him is the curse or remnant of the Voracity which gave him his powers, or the ability to devour the guilty. I believe the reason he wants to be killed is because the risk of that power and the Voracity has, the risk it imposes and presents, and the idea that he is losing to the curse and slowly being converted. This would explain why he has stakes for his arm to try to slow or suppress the curse, and the one who helps him contain it is Lan of the Hunt, as he calls upon them when he uses it in 4.1. And it would also explain why, as Lan would help him due to the Hunt's idea and single narrow-mindedness in its goal, and he would be able to use the Hunt's power as he uses it to pursue justice. The reason I believe he is the biggest threat is because he might be the key to freeing the Voracity or helping it regain its power and potentially aid the return of its Aeon. This is because I believe that either the curse will overtake him, and this could be through overuse of the power itself, or the wish power that is directed at him from him being a supplicant. And this could potentially and inadvertently strengthen the curse's power and the effects of the curse, which is supposed to be repressed by his mask, as the wish power he gains helps him to control the curse. I believe he'll be targeted because if the mask is broken, or his wish power he gains is reduced to a substantial point, it could lead to the curse's effect getting stronger by him having something, or him not being able to repress it as much. The other reason he is a risk is because if the wish power does help the curse, I believe it will eventually lead to the helping the release of Voracity from its confinement and jail. By having the remnant inside, or the curse affecting Ashvale, try to help break the Voracity that is sealed out of Planar Arcadia. So it would essentially be the Voracity that is sealed, that is eating away at the torn scroll, trying to exit the prison from inside, and Ashvale's curse helping free it from the outside. This would lead to the Voracity escaping and its power coming back potentially, and this would mean the Voracity would come at an inopportune time when everyone isn't prepared, or no precautions will be in place to stop it, and that is why he's the biggest threat. Next, the reason I believe the IPC is wanting the remains of the Voracity is because they want to use its power in the upcoming war against the Aeons, and maybe use it against the destruction or other Aeons, or potentially to even revive an Aeon. I believe that the reason the IPC has Pearl as the CEO of Planar Arcadia is because they are trying to uncover the remains of Ouroboros and recover them for the IPC. This would mean during the IPC or Pearl's search, they discovered, it was in the Torn Scroll or the World in Canvas. And this would explain why the IPC is using the Worlds Reborn initiative to salvage the worlds hidden in the flattened paintings and bring them back to reality, as it would act as a cover for them to search and try to uncover the Terminal Station, Land of the Sneering Gods, or find whereabouts of the remains of the Voracity, or even get closer to it, their pursuit of it. The reason I believe they are doing this is because I think they want to use the remains and authority of Voracity to be potentially used in the war among the Aeons, or the anti-destruction, or put forward for the Anti-Destruction Alliance, and the final option to bring back either Tazeroth or Ouroboros. I believe the reason for the Veracity's return is to become a weapon against the other Aeons, or instead the remains will be used to create weapons that use the Veracity's power, which would mean they have the potential to kill Emanators of Abundance. The reason for why I believe Tazeroth could be reborn and revived is because the propagation had usurped the Veracity's authority, and the IPC could be trying to gather the remains of Tazeroth's power and its previous dominions and control to try to help bring it back in some aspect, like how Go Forward tried to revive and bring back End of the Order by recreating the Swarm disaster. I believe the IPC are trying to recreate the conditions and try to make their own Swarm and propagation Aeon. This is because it's clear the IPC does not follow the preservation, and by IPC I do mean the higher tiers, as we have seen the difference between them and the architects and other preservation groups. But however, I do think that the lower ranking employees are following the IPC out of loyalty and respect to the preservation, hence why people do claim all for the Ember Lord. And for this IPC section, I do believe Pearl will betray the IPC, as I believe that if she does find the Voracity, she would hide it, as I believe that is the reason she is trying to recreate Graphia's art, and why we haven't seen her use her Supplicant Master powers, as I believe she would want to ensure no one can use the Voracity because of the dangers it would create, and why she accepted Silverwolf's deal to receive training in Imagenesis, the art of creating digital matter and manipulating data. And for my final theory, and not theory, but I mean addition to another existing theory, in my previous theory and video, I presented the idea of Aha and Akavili sealing Ouroboros in the world in Canvas and Torn Scroll, and I believe the reason Aha put forward the new prize of becoming the new Aeon of Elation is because they will try to reseal the Voracity due to it trying to escape. And in that attempt, they will die, and because of this, a new Aeon would be needed, as the Phantom's Moon games would still need to continue to help contain the Voracity, as I believe that Wish Power itself is not solely directed to the Supplicants, but also the Aeon of Elation as a whole, which would help ensure its role of sealing the Voracity by having Aha themselves potentially get stronger from the Phantom's Moon games, which would be when they reseal the Voracity, which would also explain why the Phantom's Moon games are not a regular occurrence, and would mean that the Phantom's Moon itself would be an indicator of when the Voracity is escaping, which I believe could mean that a key to holding the Voracity back is in the Phantom's Moon, or is the Phantom's Moon as a whole. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.